And we are now going to switch gears, looking into the Commonwealth of Virginia. Our lawmakers have been in session, we know, for the last few months. A big thing that they were tasked to do here is to reach an agreement on a budget. Now, the Democrats, they run the governor's seat, the House, and the Senate. But as of right now, they have not been able to reach a deal, even though the end of this session, regular session, is tomorrow. What is the big thing that is holding this up? It's data centers. On one end, you have the Senate and its leadership with Louise Lucas right out of here in Hampton Road saying that she will not support tax breaks for these data centers. On the other hand, in the House and others, they say, hey, those tax breaks were able to help get all of this investment and those companies into the Commonwealth. Maybe we should consider what that would mean if we take them away. I want you to listen right now to Delegate Luke Torian. He spoke about this just yesterday during their open session in the House about where they stand when it comes to the budget and why he has concerns on what the Senate is currently proposing.
I'm sorry to report that there will be no such agreement at this time. Unfortunately, as many of you have seen on social media, the other body has taken the position that a budget cannot be finalized, at least in their view, without eliminating the data center sales tax incentive. This is not a position the House can or should agree to. The House produced a strong and responsible budget. It expands support for core government services and increases investment in housing, public and higher education, and health and human services. This budget makes targeted investments to ease pressures facing our citizens by strengthening access to affordable health care, supporting housing stability, expanding child care availability, and keeping higher education within the reach for the next generation. Let me be clear. The data center industry supports 74,000 jobs in Virginia. It generates $5.5 billion in labor, income, and contributions. $9.1 billion to Virginia's GDP every year. In addition, the data center generates more than $2 billion in local tax revenue annually. But eliminating the sales tax exemption would cost Virginia far more than lost tax revenue. Virginia's reputation as a reliable place to do business will be called into question. Companies across industries, not just the data center sector, may begin to wonder whether Virginia is a partner they can depend on. At a time when the Commonwealth is already navigating the economic fallouts of federal retrenchment, we must ask ourselves, do we really want to pull the plug on economic growth? I repeat, we cannot and we will not.
That was House Delegate Luke Torian that you heard from there. In response to those comments, I want you to read what Senator Louise Lucas posted on X, sharing those comments in an embed. This is what she had to say as Sarah pulls it up here. She says, quote, first poking at her fellow colleagues in the House, saying next year I'm going to help our House of Delegate members get on social media so they can keep up. As you know, I've been saying for weeks now that we will not pass a budget that puts data centers tax breaks ahead of hardworking Virginia families. And she says, I am not backing down now. So that is at the heart of this debate between the House Democrats and the Senate Democrats. Tomorrow is the end of this regular session, and you heard it there from Torian. They have not been able to reach an agreement at this time. I want to bring in our political expert, Dr. Eric Claville here, and we've had a lot of conversations just about a lot of issues leading up to, even when it came to the elections, and for Democrats, their excitement that they were able to get, control of all three branches of government here. And here we have the first term for them with control. Right now, they're having a hard time reaching an agreement on a budget. Where are you with all of this in terms of what you're seeing and how this could potentially play out?
Well, Eugene, the entire Commonwealth is waiting on this particular issue. I mean, really, there are a lot of bills that are passed and argued on the floor, but what it really boils down to is the budget. Right now, Virginia has a budget of $74 billion. And these tax breaks represent, or tax exemptions, they represent 2%, about $1.9 billion to the data centers. This is an issue that's not going to go away, especially given the cuts of the federal government through DOGE and also the elimination of funding through the Affordable Care Act for those that had extended health care through Medicaid, also known through or as Obamacare. So there's a lot of holes that we have to fill, not just the Commonwealth of Virginia, but every state in the union. With that being said, a large amount or a big pool of that money are these tax breaks or tax exemptions. Now, this becomes problematic for a couple of reasons. Of course, Chair of Appropriations, the Delegate Lutorian, the chairman mentioned some of those in the clip that you just played. In part, I want our listeners to understand how data centers actually play in the Commonwealth. Right now, Virginia is what we call the data center capital of really the world. We have over 575 operating data centers in the Commonwealth of Virginia. I bet many people didn't know that. I didn't know that until I researched it. But the actual brain or the intelligence of the United States is located here in the Commonwealth, mainly in Northern Virginia, but we have a lot of these data centers that are sprawling and more that want to come here to the Commonwealth. When we take a look at the information that we have flowing through wires and also through the air across the country and the world, Amazon, Microsoft, all these Google and all these major companies, they're located here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. There's a reason for that, because Virginia is the place to do business. Of course, over the last couple of gubernatorial cycles, Virginia has been the best place to do business, number one, especially under the last administration. And now Virginia wants to continue to be that place. One way to continue that, according to the chairman, is for us to basically honor those agreements that we had or currently have in place. Currently, those tax exemptions, they expire in 2035. However, early on in this General Assembly, they were extended to 2050, given that the data centers meet some benchmarks. Now, I want to talk about a couple of those, and then I want to look at the Senate side and also look at what the governor is proposing as a compromise. Right now, data centers have those exemptions if they invest $150 million, create at least 50 jobs in the retail side and such. That's a lot of tax dollars that are going to localities, right? So when you look at where those data centers are located and you look at the supporting resources that we have there, the schools and the like, you see really the difference. Now, that's extended or that's actually included in the extension, but also upping those jobs to create more. In addition to that, the fuel use and the noise consumption or complaints or the noise pollution. So with that, data centers, we know they take a lot of resources, a lot of power. So in essence, the citizens in those areas, they actually share the burden of that. One of the compromises for this is for the governor. She said, well, if this is the case for data centers to basically pay their fair share, then maybe a consumption tax on the energy that they use is the way to go. Another part of this extension for the 2050 is for them to wean themselves off of their polluting energy source into clean energy source. And one area that's becoming very popular now is natural gas. So natural gas powered centers that's something that's catching on. Now, of course, this is very good for natural gas companies, but at the same time, is moving away from the grid, which helps the costs and the prices for local citizens, which again helps to bring down that cost, but also helps to keep the tax exemption in place. Now, on the Senate side, the Senate Pro Tem, Senator Lucas, is adamant that by ending these exemptions and tax breaks, making the data centers pay their fair share, then what will happen is that it's projected that though it will raise about $1.1 billion over the next 2 years, which can go to about $93.8 million to localities, but also go to fund things like transportation as well. So what the President Pro Tem is proposing is allowing corporations to pay their fair share in order to fund initiatives for everyday citizens or all Virginians. What the House is proposing is to continue to keep those promises in place, but raising the bar on their investment in local communities. And what the governor is proposing is not to do away with the exemption, but to add the consumption tax, which is basically paying their fair share for energy. Now, what does this mean for us in Virginia and as it relates to this General Assembly? Statutorily, they have to pass a budget or meet for a compromise on the budget 2 days or 48 hours before the end of session. Session ends tomorrow, which is sine die, March 14th, so they're not going to meet that threshold. We knew that yesterday coming out. Right now, a special session can be had or held in that time period. A compromise with conferees can also be held, which is a group of both Republicans and Democrats on both sides of the House and the Senate. It's coming together to really discuss the compromise on the budget to submit to the governor. Now, of course, reconvene session is on the 21st. That can also be held before that time, or they can discuss it at that time period. But ultimately, a new budget has to be adopted and signed by July 1st. If not, then we truly will have a major impasse where there is not a budget for the Commonwealth moving forward for the next 2 years.
And you know what? As you were talking, we just got a release from the joint appropriation chairs in both the House and the Senate. They have not reached an agreement, but this coming in saying today, Senate Finance and Appropriations chairs, Luis Lucas and Luke Torian, releasing a statement saying that they are pleased to report that budget negotiations are moving forward and they are making meaningful progress toward a final agreement that reflects the priorities for Virginians across the Commonwealth. They have a lot that goes into that. I'm going to try to pick through a little bit of this at the moment. Saying Virginia is home to one of the most important technology corridors. We just heard you say that in the world, supporting thousands of good paying jobs, driving economic growth in Virginia, saying that we are committed to getting our approach to data center taxation right. As we evaluate the exemptions and incentives currently in place, our focus is on preserving that competitive advantage and ensuring the policies we adopt remain transparent, fair for Virginians, and consistent with Virginia's reputation as the best state for business. I'm going to skip ahead to the end where it says, we expect to resolve the remaining outstanding issues soon and look forward to presenting a final budget that Virginia families, businesses, and communities can be proud of. That just came in within the last 3 or 4 minutes from the joint Senate Finance and House Appropriation chairs, Luis Lucas and Luke Torian. We just showed you their responses just yesterday to one another. So I think that speaks to what you're talking about, right? They know that they still have time before that July 1st ultimate deadline to work this all out. But I do want to ask you, just from the optics standpoint of this at the moment, because we have Democrats who are in control, right? They're in control of the chambers. We're not talking about Republicans going against, Democrats or vice versa in this moment. We're talking about Democrats who can't quite see eye to eye just yet on this budget. How does that reflect on the party in your estimation?
Well, politics is about compromise. You may be of the same party, you may be of the same, even share similar experiences, but you're not going to agree on everything. But one thing we have seen in this General Assembly, and I will say this is the first time where we've had Democratic control in the General Assembly where there has not been a budget reach within the time period of the General Assembly. So the first time since since Don Scott's leadership in the House and President Pro Tem at the same time. But I do want to also point to the fact that this General Assembly, led by the Democrats, have come to many decisions where they saw eye to eye. And this is just one of those small areas. So you're going to have this in politics. The key is, can you come to the table, compromise and get it done, and make sure all voices are heard? I want to put out something very important at that point, because we see the example in Washington where Republicans control each side of the House and also the White House. But there are some areas where a lot of areas where they can't see eye to eye, especially where you have the White House controlling a lot of the policy that the Congress should. So there was one instance where there was on the floor where a Republican actually stood up and thanked Senator Pro Tem, the Democrat, Senator Lucas, for the budget that they passed in the Senate with no new taxes. And he said, thank you for hearing our voice and make sure our voice was heard. And that was impromptu. I mean, that was nothing planned, but that just shows you that, this particular General Assembly they're not dictating or they're not legislating without hearing all voices. They're making sure that all voices are heard. As a matter of fact, I think Republican Studever, I'll check that in just a moment, but he actually agrees on the Senate side with the Democrats that they should provide this, eliminate this tax exemption, and really don't see eye to eye with the House side. So, again, when we talk about the control of both houses, there are a lot of voices that are operating within this particular government, as always there are. We know that it's only the top voices that we hear, but there are a lot of voices, a lot of moving pieces, but we do know that they're willing to, based upon the statement that you just read, to work this out. And I mentioned the governor being involved as well, providing that compromise over consumption tax over energy consumption.
And speaking of the governor, this is, maybe could be considered one of her first real tests when it comes to being able to governing, within not just your colleagues, but particularly, as you said, your own party. This is, people are going to watch to see how she handles this in this moment. What are some of the maybe opportunities for her and, out of this, or what could potentially be, some of the things she wants to kind of watch out for as she navigates these waters?
Right. And I just want to fact check myself. That was Senator Glenn Studevert, that represents the district south of Richmond, that did make that statement, where he agrees with the Senate side and doesn't agree with the House side. As it relates to your question about the governor, I like that you said an opportunity, right? In politics is really the art of compromise anyway, right? That's the pure definition of it. With this, it is every situation is an opportunity to show leadership, an opportunity to create partnerships across lines and also within your own party. So I believe the governor's, where she is leading now, I believe is the right way for her, given what she ran on. Our governor is a centrist. So therefore, not siding with one side or the other, but offering a compromise in the middle where both sides technically could win, or they could win a lot of what they want. You get a consumer tax placed on data centers, which gives revenue, provides revenue. On the other side, you keep those contracts in place, which keeps the word of the Commonwealth good as relates to business, and it also keeps the status of the Commonwealth as relates to being the intelligence hub and center of intelligence and information data of the world. So, this governor, based upon how she campaigned, how she chose her cabinet, and everything that she's doing, she is a true centrist to the word and to the core. And I think we're seeing this in action.
I think, of many people who are watching to see how she handles this situation, in part because, hey, listen, we know that there are some strong personalities involved, and maybe no personality in all of Virginia politics is stronger than Senator Louise Lucas. And I just want to ask, I know they put out the statement that they are, working together and they're making progress, but this is not somebody who traditionally backs down from anything when she puts her foot down. Do you see her compromising in this situation, or do you think this is another one of those where ultimately she'll find a way to have her way, just like we saw with the 10-1 redistricting situation just a little while ago? How do you see her kind of positioning at the end of all of this?
Well, to your point, there are a lot of alpha personalities in the General Assembly. So no one really wants to back down because they're fighting, literally fighting for what they believe and fighting for their constituents. So it's kind of hard to say I'm backing down. However, I think the word backing down and compromise being replaced with a win-win opportunity for all sides, I think is the proper way to go, because at the end of the day, you're passing a budget that is a win not only for your constituents, but also a win for the other constituents of the Commonwealth as well. So I believe, again, finding a way to provide revenue from these very, very profitable data centers that also give a lot of value to the localities, and again, provides an identity of an industry for the Commonwealth and keeps it here, because there are other states that are waiting to get what we have, right? And when you talk about win-win, one way you can look at this is you have current data centers under this new contract. Well, new data centers that come into the Commonwealth may fall under another provision, which could also provide tax exemptions, but raise the bar or decrease the tax exemptions to give more revenue to the localities. So right there, you have an opportunity to win for your side now and also in the future. So again, that's how politics works: getting the best minds in the room, everyone taking a deep breath, and understanding what's at stake, and ensuring that you're not backing down, but you're being open to understanding each side for a win-win, not just for you and your constituents, but also for the Commonwealth as a whole.
Well, we will certainly see what happens here. A lot of people are watching, both from the standpoint of the budget, what happens with the data centers, but also politically as well, as we're monitoring to see how Democrats handle and operate now, again, that they do own all three chambers. And in the backdrop of all of this, of course, is the redistricting amendment that now people are voting for at the moment with that April 21st referendum, and what that means moving forward for the congressional seats here within the Commonwealth. There's just a lot of rich stuff happening right now that really will impact the Commonwealth for years to come. So a lot of eyes are on it, as usual. What do you say? All eyes are on Virginia?
Because as Virginia goes, so goes.
I knew it was one of those. I knew it was one of those.
And also reconvene April 22nd, referendum voting day, April 21st. So like you said, back-to-back. General Assembly members, their agents will come back home to their districts on tomorrow. But campaigning starts the next day for this referendum. So a lot of politics, a lot of front-facing, a lot more conversation. And now we add the budget to it. So
never ends. Get ready. Get ready. All right. We got Dr. Eric Claville here with us. Thank you so much. Our political expert and Norfolk State University professor as well. Always great when he comes on and can give all of this knowledge when it comes to what's going on in our politics here.